Okay, so let me just adjust my cables here so they're not falling all over the place. You might think that this situation is somewhat sloppy. You wouldn't be entirely incorrect, but we do our best. So what we're going to do now is we're going to paint this guy, this side shooting cavalryman, and just to give you an idea of how that's done. So he's obviously got a slouch hat. That doesn't mean he's a Confederate, but we'll paint him up as a Confederate anyway. So to do that, we're going to give him first an overall color, and I think it can be any color. It doesn't matter, but there are certain acrylics that when dry cause other colors to adhere better than they would if you had painted it with a different color. Like, for instance, there's no way to know. I don't know why that is. If I paint some of my figures, some of these figures, trust me, they've been washed, cleaned up, and so on. They're ready to be painted. If I paint them with a tan color, like flesh tone, they seem to be then painting better than if I had painted them with, say, black or gray or dark gray or white. There's no way to know why. I don't understand it. It's the pigment that somehow allows other colors to take better than other pigments that you might use as a base color. So what we're looking at here is, let me check my other camera. Yeah, he's not too bad. And so, let's make sure I keep my guy in camera view. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we're going to hit this guy with the tan color because that seems to have been the best first color applied to these figures. And is it going to be kind of a wash? Well, it can be. It doesn't have to be, but in some cases a light wash of this color produces better results. And what do you do when you get ready to do this? Well, you get your water ready, the rinsing container. You clear the work area around you, right? Around all this stuff. You got to make sure it's nice and clear, devoid of, impediments. And then go ahead and start working. So I've got my cloth put down. I've got my various glasses that I use for detailed work. And I'm now going to hit this guy. And you'll see, well, I don't really need to hold him. I'll hold him by the tail because I've done that a lot. But sometimes, just by painting the figure, and this is the base color, sometimes it also depends, ironically, on how good the actual brush is itself. And in this case, I may not be crazy about this brush. I have a feeling this brush has been kicking around here for a while, and I'm maybe not liking the way it turns out. So I am going to locate my tweezers and hold this and then give it the washy-washy, as the guy used to say on the cruise ship. And again, one of the techniques or the cautions, the caveats, if you will, to doing this is just watch out for the goopiness. You don't want to ever goop thick paint. This is just a cover. You can see how it's already becoming a translucent. Okay, now you could try this with black, brown, it doesn't really matter, but like I've said, this is probably going to prove me wrong now, color takes better than all the other colors. I have no idea why. So we'll just do this, let it dry, and then we'll come back and continue the work. Sometimes takes about 15 minutes. And in that time, rinse the brush, clean off the tweezers. Which, as you can see, I haven't always done. I should really give this tweezers a nice going over while we're waiting. If I have my then close the bottle. If I have my sandpaper handy, I think I might. Clean off this. I'm not using a really coarse sandpaper here. Though by the age of this tweezers, and of course I could just go ahead and grab another tweezers from somewhere. First I'm just gonna, scrape off this paint, because acrylic is kind of a plastic, right? It's kind of a plastic when it dries. Its chemical composition, that's why you can have acrylic glass, or what looks like glass. It's a plastic. Why is it important to do this? Because the gripper parts of the tweezers are important to maintain so that the tweezers actually has a function. Otherwise it's just tongs and it hasn't got any strength to grab anything, because the paint has collected, or the glue or whatever has collected on the tweezers and pretty much rendered it less effective. And you're asking yourself, kidding me, you're doing a video of cleaning tweezers? Well, I'm waiting for the figure to dry. But the fact of the matter is, this tweezers you're looking at here, I think this darn thing might date to 30 years. I think this tweezers might be 30 years old. That's how long I've had it. I've no reason to ever change it. All right? Look at it now. Now it's worth grabbing something. Nice and clean. Good grabby. My figure does not look like he's drying yet. That is a humidity issue. That is, it might be humid here. Let's try our situation with another figure. Again, we'll hot glue into position. And we'll paint this guy. Now, these have all been washed. We'll paint this guy. He looks like a commander type with the binoculars. We'll paint him in a different color. Let's go right to the gray, which actually is a mudstone. We do have a gray, a slate gray, and we have a mudstone. Let's just go with the mudstone. Why? Because the mudstone, the chemical composition of the mudstone from Ceramcoat, okay, has the same texture as that flesh tone. That we were using. So let's try that. Again, not crazy about this paintbrush, but we'll use it. You might see right away what I mean. The way that the paint flows sticking to the plastic. It's not too thin and it's not too thick. I am watering it down a little bit. But I don't want to cover up the details of the sculpts. These are Italian cavalry and they are very, very good. They are probably the best in the industry. As far as I'm concerned. In 1/72 scale, they are pretty darn good. You see, this is almost better than that flesh tone. And this is why? Because I'm getting ready to maybe paint these guys in not so Confederate color. More butternut browns and tans, because the trials and tribulations of warfare are making colors fade, and so on and so forth. Alright, so let him dry. Let's go back to our flesh tone guy and see how he's doing. Nope, not quite. This is the other thing. We want to make sure that these guys are nice and dry. It may take 24 hours. So let's have another. Let's have a look at some of these figures. Some of them are very good. Here's a figure, for instance. This guy, again, he's not glued on either. And he's holding, is that a, it's a carbine. He's holding a carbine cross as he's galloping or just walking with his horse. So let's use the same color. What we're essentially doing here is painting up a squadron. Either 2 or 3 figures to a squadron, that is to say a base. And I'm doing this because at any moment I may say, you know what, let's make these guys Union instead of Confederate. And then therefore instantly change. Now this guy is wearing what appears to be a jacket. Oh, you know what? I did not glue that guy in position. I need to stop this and put that guy on there. This is the great thing about hot glue. You can almost immediately start to continue working or pick up where you left off, because it dries really fast, and the adherence, depending on what you're coloring or what you're gluing, is remarkably fast and good. Depending, again, there are several different brands of hot glue. That's the problem. Some of them are not meant to be quite so incredibly good bonding, and some of them are. You would think they would all be, but then again, sometimes you may not want that incredible binding, right? Which is good in a sense. We were able to pop off some of our guys from their clear Lexan or clear acrylic bases because of the hot glue. The hot glue didn't affect the acrylic base. Now you see here, you can even see this now. Look at that mudstone. That's actually drying. Okay, that's drying while I'm working on it, and that's different than the other colors. Let's go back to our tan flavored guy. You can see there's a little bit difference, not quite drying. We can move his paint around. Maybe I put that paint on too thick, or maybe it is drying. I may have put it on a little too thick. And it just has, because of the sheen, it might look like it's not quite dry. I can see it coming off on my paintbrush. So let's use the paintbrush. I'm not concerned about the fact that I just used it on a different color, to remove or spread around that more watery paint. Give it a better chance of drying. So that's 3 guys. I'm not sure I need to continue, but what we'll do is we'll come back when they're nice and dry. Mudstone from Ceramcoat, which is from Delta. Ceramcoat is the name and the originator or the creator with Delta, and I'm not too sure if that is still the case. That might be Americana or so on and so forth. As you know, we have tried to keep a handle on all these names as much as we can, and it hasn't been easy. These companies change, or at least they appear to, or become unavailable in certain colors. That is the enemy of what we do. You may end up having to be really good at mixing your own colors because of the changing situations of these corporate ownerships of these companies. Alright, we'll come back when our figures are nice and dry. Now, maybe, no, that's it. We'll leave that.